Hi, this is Cheryl. I wanted to talk about the way you get treated in a narcissistic, high conflict personality relationship. It just occurred to me today, and I have kind of a unique experience because I lived for almost 5 years in Saudi Arabia, which is extremely um, conservative country. Women weren't allowed to work. This was in the 90s. Women weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to drive. You had to have a taxi or like our company had buses that would take you downtown certain times and pick you up. Um, we also had our own personal vehicle. If I could convince my husband to take me, he would take me. But you were very limited in what you were allowed to do and what you weren't allowed to do, especially with clothing. Um, the women there wear the abaya, which is the cloak. They wear a full face veil, which you can't even see eyes. They would wear gloves. They wear a headscarf that covers everything. So you're just looking at a black mass walking around, basically. I mean, little kids, you'd see little kids running up to one and tugging on them, and the mother would be like, no, no. And they'd go to the next one. They couldn't tell. Nobody could tell. But the thing is when I went there, I knew what I was getting into. And luckily, because of the city we were in, um, we didn't have to wear that. We just had to wear clothes that covered your collarbone, went below your elbows, went midway down your calves, and nothing tight fitting. And at the same time, they have what they call the Matawa, which is the religious police. And the religious police have no power unless they have a policeman with them. But they are allowed to harass women that are not dressed appropriately. So, certain times, certain holidays, the religious holidays, if you didn't have a headscarf on, they could come grab you and, smack you with their little whip thing they had. And it was just, I never got harassed by the Metallo personally. I never did. I don't know why. I just never did. I got harassed by Joe Schmo Saudi on the street. And it finally occurred to me, it's like there's a bunch of people there that have never seen a woman without a headscarf, without a veil, without the abaya, and they really don't know how to act towards women. I mean, I attribute it to being like a 13-year-old looking at his first Playboy. I mean, that's the difference because you see the difference between what they're used to and what the, you know, Americans, Brits, Filipinos would wear. Um, it's night and day. I mean, they can't even see anybody's face. They can't see anybody's hair. So I would get harassed everywhere I went. And part of that is they didn't have redheads there. You just didn't see that. And so I could walk into the mall on a Friday, which is where everybody went on a Friday, and I'd have every single person in the mall staring at me. So if I didn't think that I had low self-confidence before, I sure as hell didn't after that. I got to the point I didn't leave the house because I just didn't want to deal with it. But I agreed to that when I went there. I knew what I was getting into. I knew what the country's laws were. So it's not like I could complain about it because I signed up for that. It was good money. We were just starting out, you know. I thought we were doing what we should do. But what never really occurred to me until recently was my marriage was the same way. I was never treated as an equal, ever. My opinion never mattered. I existed to make his life comfortable. That's it. And when I wasn't in the room, I ceased to exist. If he didn't need food, I didn't exist. And that's how I got treated. I would, he would ask me my opinion on something. And if I told him what my opinion was, he would poo poo it and then turn around and ask someone else. Well, if they agreed with me, then all of a sudden it was a great idea. But you live like that for so long, you just quit giving your opinion because there's no point. You quit arguing because there's no point. You end up in these 3-hour rants where you're not even saying anything, but you're just getting yelled at the entire time about every, real or imagined thing you ever did. And at the end of it, nothing's solved, nothing's resolved, nothing changes ever. If I would complain about, I'm working full time, I'm doing this and that, can you please help me with the house? Well, you should be able to do it all. And nothing would ever change. So you just quit fighting it. But the thing is you have the key to get out. You're in a cage. You may not realize it, but you're in a cage. And you have the key to get out. And for me, it was once I got out, I was terrified to be around anybody because I tend to get treated that way in general by people. And it's because everybody has their recurring themes in their life, and it's a life lesson. My life lesson is speak your truth. Speak your truth. Tell it like it is, whether they like it or not. Quit bending over for people. Quit bending over, doing what people want, and expecting nothing in return because that's what you get, nothing in return. And so I started therapy, and it was very interesting because, part of this was why did I end up in this relationship? Why did I allow it? I was raised in the United States. I shouldn't have fallen into that. But the thing was, is I was raised in that. And so to me, it wasn't just okay, it was normal. And this really got pounded into my head when my therapist looked at me and she goes, you didn't marry your dad, you married your mom. But it was true. It's 100% true. So my work going forward is how do I not do this again? How do I not allow this again? Because I can't. It's not that I don't want to help people. It's not that I don't want to bend over for people, but I just can't. My mental health depends on it. So I've had to cut people off because it's like there's certain people that would only call me when they needed something. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I already feel like not enough. It's a hole I'm still digging out of, and I can't fall back in. I have gone through too much bullshit in this life to put up with being treated like less than. You know, all I ever wanted was a partner. That's it. And I never got it. But I thought if I do more, if I do more, if I do more, if I explain it differently, he'll understand. No, he won't because he doesn't want to. It doesn't suit his interests. It doesn't suit his interests to help me. It never did. Because if I was going to do it, great. He could sit on his ass and do nothing. And I allowed it. So that's something I'm working on going forward. Is not allowing it. Because at least in Saudi, I understood what I was getting into when I got into it. My marriage was a completely different thing. I never thought that that's what it was supposed to be. But when it turned into that, I didn't run. I just kept trying harder and harder and harder and getting nowhere. So if anything, I just hope this opens people's eyes to see what these relationships are like. Because sometimes you need to have it explained just to understand what the hell it is. And then you can start thinking about getting out. I hope that helps.